my style. You better have a whole lot of measure, cause I'm a rock back chick. Never tag along the never look back chick. Trendy, a little crazy, intelligently singing rock back chick. No sticks, no stones, or any kind of weapon don't belong here. I don't wanna break no bones, I just want a microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, 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 good morning. Want a microphone, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning,
Good morning, viewers. It's 7 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. It's Monday, yes, the start of a new week. Monday, the 25th of April, 2022. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Ski. Yes, indeed, it has been an eventful weekend for many. Some going to church, some taking some time out to rest and relax, some having meetings, various activities taking place throughout the island, throughout the country, throughout the world at large. And certainly we want to give God thanks that we are all here this morning to see another beautiful day. All right, over the course of the weekend, we'd have also heard in relation to the accident that would have taken place with former Assemblyman Shamari Hector. We want to indeed, wish him a speedy recovery. We're told that he's good, and we trust that that good health will indeed continue, notwithstanding the circumstances that would have taken place. And this morning, as we get started, I also want to share with you an advisory, and this is courtesy the Pentecostal Light and Life High School. And the Board of Management of the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation advises all parents and teachers that the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation High School is reopened for classes today, Monday, April 25th, 2022. Work was expedited over the weekend and will be ongoing over the next 2 weeks to fulfill the commitments made to address our teachers' concerns which prompted our decision to close. We thank the Division of Education, Research and Technology for their quick response to the outstanding repairs following the school's closure. Thank you all for your understanding and cooperation as we sought to provide our students and teachers with a suitable and safe learning environment. All right, and that's the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation High School that's reopened today. And our information is also that the Scarborough RC Primary School is also reopened today. The Monday, the 25th of April, 2022. All right, so we're very happy to inform. And we also want to give you a gentle reminder that taking place today, as we send morning and shout outs to our very own host here at the Tobago Updates, Rhea Richardson George. Morning to Rhea Richardson George and the entire family out there. Just as a reminder to you, our viewers, Today, we will be celebrating the life of Rhea's mom, Joan E. Richardson, fondly known as Auntie Joan. And the homegoing service takes place today, Monday, the 25th of April, 2022 at 2 p.m. And it's going to be at the Mongrace Open Bible Church. And we will be streaming live here from Tobago Updates, and we want to remind you to tune in to the Tobago Updates for those of you joining online. And as I mentioned, it takes place at the Mongrace Open Bible Church for those who may be online. So we want to shout out again, morning, Miss Carol Fraser Davidson, Vanna, Trixie Gray Clark, QP Melville, Keith Pollard, Miriam Scott, Russell Morrison, and all of you joining us on the live here this morning, as well as those of you joining us via TV. In and around, we want to say thank you so much for the continued love and support that we receive here at the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Viewers, at this point, we go to news in 90 seconds with Denicia.
Thank you, Julian. Here's your news in 90 seconds. Former Chief Secretary Ansel Dennis has been elected unopposed as the political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM. The party held its internal elections yesterday. Larry Paul was elected as chairman of the party over his opponent, Huey Cadet. Charles Adams was also elected as vice chairman. Most of the 17 positions on the executive were unopposed. Upon his election, Dennis says his focus is on rebuilding the party to be the choice of all Tobagonians. In other news, Scarborough RC Primary School students will attend their first day of physical classes today. The school remained closed while other schools on the island returned to classes on Wednesday. Maintenance works were not completed on the school, preventing the return to classes. However, a notice from the Division of Education, Research and Technology confirmed that the works were completed for students and teachers to return to campus this morning. Meanwhile, there is spy equipment in Trinidad and Tobago. However, it has not been used for unauthorized surveillance. These assurances came from the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, and Acting Commissioner of Police, MacDonald Jacobs. They both confirmed there was no evidence to suggest unauthorized use of spy equipment. In fact, they indicated that officers both in the police and the SSA are yet to be trained in the use of the equipment. Minister Hines also pointed out that use of such equipment is under stringent protocols, and any unauthorized use will be in violation of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. That was the news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Julian.
Thank you very much there, Denicia, with our news in 90 seconds. A number of things happening here in the Tobago space, just as we would have touched on. And we look forward to hearing and getting all the insights, folks. And just as a reminder to you, to give you an idea on our rundown this morning, we have Kelvon Morris, Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly. And we're speaking to pressing concerns from the minority. And we can't have the minority leader on, and we don't speak to the matter of the recently concluded yesterday in terms of the internal elections that would have been taking place to move the Tobago People's National Movement forward. Also on our rundown this morning, we have Xavier Edwards, President of the Tobago Writers Guild, as we speak about the World Book and Copyright Day 2022 and their week of activities. All right, viewers, so just before we head on into birthdays, I want to give a special shout out because part of my activities this weekend took me across to Trinidad, and in heading back up late yesterday, on the airport, I met up with Marissa, and I want to make sure that I send shout outs this morning, particularly, as she would have indicated to me, to her father, also a very good friend of my father, Marshall Williams, tuned in constantly and daily, ensuring that he continues to support the Tobago Updates morning show. Marshall Williams out there at Cleaver Road in Arima. All right, we're sending you a morning shout out, and we know you would have celebrated your birthday within the last week or so. So we're also sending you belated birthday greetings coming from the Tobago Updates family and coming from my family indeed. Thank you very much for your continued support, sir, and your daughter is looking out for you. All right, so we want to wish you a happy birthday. And we head on into our birthday lineup. We continue with our birthday lineup for this morning. And this morning we get started with birthday greetings coming in. And this is from Rhea Richardson George, going out to Uncle Ray Richardson. All right, love from the Richardson clan here in Trinidad and Tobago in the U.S. I should say the Richardsons around the world. All right, sending out birthday greetings from Ray Richardson, George, and the entire family. Going out to Uncle Ray Richardson. All right, wishing you a happy birthday. We also have a very good friend, birthday celebrations going out to Mr. Louis Charles. Louis Charles out there, we trust that you had an enjoyable one over the weekend. And let the celebrations continue, Mr. Charles. All right, happy birthday to you, coming from the Tobago Updates family. We're also sending a birthday shout out this morning to Sherry Warner, representing us out there and making us proud indeed in terms of accessories and in those areas. You certainly got to check Sherry Warner out. So we want to send a birthday greeting going out to Sherry Warner. We trust that you're having an enjoyable one. The man himself, my good friend, man, brother Garfield Lashley, as I call him. All right, the man behind Bago, My Island Vibes. All right, we want to wish Garfield Lashley a very happy birthday coming from Tobago Updates and the entire family. We trust that you continue to have an enjoyable one. Birthday shout-outs going out to Erna Critchlow. All right, and I'm watching at Erna here and I'm seeing put a smile on your face. All right, birthday blessings going out to you, Erna Critchlow, coming from the Tobago Updates family. And we're also sending a birthday shout out this morning to Vernice McDonald. All right, Vernice McDonald, wishing you a happy birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. All right, viewers, and just as we wrap on birthday celebrations, yes, we've got her up on screen now, Vernice McDonald, coming from the Tobago Updates family. We want to wish you a happy birthday. We trust that you have an enjoyable one. All right, and this morning we also want to recognize some outstanding work. We had some awards being given out in particular. We want to recognize our very own youth host, Aliyah Holder. Over the course, within the last few days, the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago would have recognized Aliyah Holder, founder of Youth Elevating Youth, within their awards for Woman of Influence. And Aliyah would have won the award for Youth Female Leader 2022, making us proud out there, our very own youth host here at the Tobago Updates morning show. And we really want to say congratulations as we continue. And if you know Julian Skeet any at all, we continue to support youth excellence. You see I'm beaming with pride here this morning and joy. Very happy as we continue to see our young persons making those strides and continuing to encourage others, no matter the odds and no matter the circumstances. So we want to say congratulations to Aliyah Holder this morning. All right, viewers, at this point, as we prepare in our next segment to have Kelvin Morris, Minority Leader for the Tobago House of Assembly, on with us, and also Assemblyman for the area there in Wim. I have to make sure and get that area correct with the changes that we have had. All right, so we look forward to having Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, Minority Leader in the Tobago House of Assembly. And this is the point where we want to thank each and every one of you, those of you joining us via TV, via radio, and also those of you joining us online, tobagoupdates.com or YouTube. And those of you on Facebook, remember, this is the time for you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning. Good morning, morning. This world is getting so cold.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
We party till we drop down there with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Rest easy at American Stores. Up to 20% off. Outstanding discounts on selected Serta, Sealy, and Therapeutic mattress brands. Check us out today at American Stores, where we make quality living affordable.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It is 7:16 a.m. and we did want to welcome you back, each and every one of you joining us, those of you in Trinidad and Tobago, those of you in the region and the world at large. In this segment, we are chatting with Kelvon Morris, Assemblyman Kelvon Morris, Minority Leader for the Tobago House of Assembly, and it's Assemblyman for the area Wim, Darrell Spring and Wim. I've got so accustomed to the days of Swam. All right, Darrell Spring and Wim. Morning to you, sir.
Julian, good morning, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. How are you doing?
Excellent. So as we get started this morning, we want to start on the very first area. One of the things I touched on as we started this morning, give us a sense of an update in relation to former Assemblyman Shamari Hector in terms of how is he doing?
Well, before I go give a status on Shamari, I want to join with the rest of Tobago in extending to the Richardson family, Ria, Joel, and the rest of the family our deepest condolences. Go out to them at this time. And of course, as you would have heard reported yesterday, our PRO-elect, Mr. Shamari Hector, was involved in an accident early morning on Sunday, and we continue to keep him in our prayers and we'll pray for his speedy recovery. At this time, he's quite stable, and we are hoping that he will be able, because he's of sound mind, he's talking and everything, and we're hoping that, you know, he will have a speedy recovery and he will be back with us so that we can continue the work of the People's National Movement and this new executive going forward.
Excellent. So as we're chatting in relation to that, let me say morning to Shamari Hector. Yes. I trust that you're watching the Tobago Updates morning show to give you that inspiration as you recover by the grace of God. All right. We also want to touch on very much at the start. The viewers just heard that we will have Kelvon Morris up in the next segment, and they immediately went on to the live, and they're raising a concern. So just give us some updates on that immediately. School is open, but no water in the Wim area for at least 3 weeks. What's the situation as it stands now?
Yes, we have been grappling with this issue. All of Darrell Spring Wim, most of Darrell Spring Wim actually, communities such as Wim, Glen Road, Mount Pelia, Summer Hill, Spring Garden, where the area served by the Hillsborough Dam would have been adversely affected by some issues there with leaking of the main transmission line, and that would have been going on for over 2 weeks. In fact, it got very frustrating over the week, and I had to really call on the authorities there to really, you know, do something, because we are into school is back. On the front line, we have children have to go to school, clothes have to wash, people have to prepare over the weekend for the new week, and it was really frustrating. It seemed that every time one area is addressed, so another area is being ruptured, and that continues to be a challenge. One of the things I think that I would like to see the policy changed and amended is that when you have these kind of issues, WASA is telling persons that your bill must be up to date and current. But if this issue emanated, let's say on a Friday, and you had an unpaid bill, so you must be deprived of water when the issue is not your fault. And I think WASA needs to change that policy, that once the policy is that the issue emanates from WASA, it's a WASA issue, then there must be some kind of priority given to the areas affected, and all persons should be treated fairly in that situation.
All right, so that's something definitely we're calling on WASA in terms of taking up a greater level of responsibility in that area. So as we speak to pressing concerns from the minority, and you have touched on it somewhat, the issue of education, and we're speaking about Tobago schools. You would have held a press conference recently, and you went as far to call for the resignation and the removal of the Secretary of Education. We would have just heard by way of our advisories that both the Pentecostal Light and Life as well as the Scarborough RC Primary School would have been reopened as at today. Are you happy with what are the urgent works that would have been done? Give us your feedback with the situation as at today.
Well, I'm quite happy that the Secretary of Education would have heeded our call to give priority to the education and the works that were required to have our schools functioning. Because at the end of the day, this is not about personality. This is not, and the issue was never about dressing. The issue, we all know the Secretary is an excellent dresser. The Secretary is a good dresser, but what we wanted to be is an excellent leader in terms of our education system. And it was not an issue of a Scarborough RC or Pentecostal Light and Life, but you would have seen there were a number of issues with respect to challenges schools faced when it was reopened, including schools having insufficient furniture. So we wanted to ensure that, you know, you put your priorities in such a way that it minimizes these situations. And one of the disappointment I had with the Secretary is the fact that when the issues arise, rather than taking responsibility, it was more one where she tried to project and defer responsibility onto the former administration. And we know that the school repair program usually is a 2-month kind of program. So you had a window between December 6th to April, which is 4 months, to conduct the necessary repairs. And in fact, assurances were given in January. In that same press conference I played, we had the Secretary on record as giving assurances that the schools were ready and prepared. And the Assistant Secretary was on another program confirming that the situation with the furniture was really bad. He said it was, he used the word actually that it was really, really bad, that most of the schools did not get the kind of furniture that they were looking for and expected. And one of the things I would like to propose going forward is that more than URP, the facility utilizing URP, we have a number of small wood workshops throughout the communities of Tobago. We should engage and empower them, and it is an opportunity for us to also partner with them, have young people skills training, and this would allow us to really foster and build the private sector, build the small entrepreneurs, and also build our young people as well. And we can build our own furniture here. We can make it fit for purpose, because some of the furniture that comes, some of the students are would have outgrown the space of those furniture and that kind of thing. And we can also make furniture for all THA going forward. So this is something we should be looking at keenly, how we partner and how we use what is within Tobago to build this island.
All right. One of the things that you touched on, and it became a focal point because of your introduction of it to the press briefing. Don't you think you should have erred probably a bit more on the side of caution when it comes to challenging things like fashion and the appearance of women? Because, you know, some may have seen it as, you know, why can't a woman look good and still perform? Is it that there was an analogy suggesting that she's only focused on fashion, but she isn't focused on her responsibility? And some of even those respondents in terms of on social media say, but the minority leader just dressed up himself. He's a man of fashion. So just clarify so that people understand, you know, in terms of from that regard.
Definitely. I have a full appreciation for fashion. We have no issues. As I said, the issue is not that the Secretary shouldn't look good. The issue is that the focus and the same energy in looking good and being, you know, your appearance, we just want her to prioritize the education of our children in the same way. And that was really the focus of the point. The point was never about trying in any condescending way to make any connotations about the Secretary's dressing. right? But it was really an issue of saying, let us focus and prioritize the education of our children. Because when the issues arose, all we got from the secretary was a press release. And the press release really didn't treat with the issues of the day. The press release really focused on Scarborough RC. But we had a bigger issue, and it ended up the same very day. You saw Pentecostal Light and Life having to close because they too had unattended issues. And you had other schools. I think one school had some plumbing issues thereafter. And we still have schools without the requisite furniture. So a number of teachers and a number of students cannot access their classroom in a proper way because there's not enough seating in those schools. So I'm saying, while we are looking good, let us do the work.
So if we are to be fair across the board, and this was another issue raised by in terms of coming forward, calling for the resignation of the Secretary with responsibility for education based on the situation with one school in Tobago. Are you also prepared to call for the resignation of the Minister of Education because of the number of schools we have in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of similarly because of what has transpired?
And the thing is, it wasn't one school, because I said the furniture issue was an issue across the board, and the issue was not that the Secretary should be fired because of that, the fact that she failed in her duty to ensure that schools were properly prepared. But it was because as we have to train young people to accept responsibility. And I am saying, if the Secretary would abdicate her responsibility in such a way, then perhaps the Chief Secretary should consider whether she's the best fit. Because what you had the comparison of an Assistant Secretary who was out there taking responsibility and ready to treat with the issues. And then you had a secretary who was hiding behind a press release and not so willing to treat with the issues, but was ready to more play politics. And Mr. Frank, I don't know if you listened to Pastor Frank's response, and he had serious issues with her approach, because even when she sent out that press release against the Pentecostal Light and Life, it was like an attack on the board and the entire Pentecostal religion as dishonest. And when you look at the facts that Pastor Frank would have brought out, the funding is a complete separate funding that is given for issues such as paying night watchman and security and those kind of things, as opposed to maintenance of the school. So here you had her misrepresenting what the Concordat funding was for, as opposed to what the Division of Education was responsible for. And he made the point. He said, based on her leadership approach, he is calling on the Chief Secretary to rein her in, have a conversation with her about how you treat with these kind of issues, because it does not augur well for the development of our education. So it was not personal. The call was more one of really calling her to come to the realization that you have to take responsibility as a leader.
All right. So viewers, at this point, as we head out to a break, we want to just remind you, we're going to be back in the next segment. We continue with Minority Leader Kelvon Morris. And at this point, we just want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Rest easy at American Stores. Up to 20% off. Outstanding discounts on selected Serta, Sealy, and Therapeutic mattress brands. Check us out today at American Stores, where we make quality living affordable.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe, cause it's something to share. Smooth
rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Are you looking for that all-in-one shopping experience? Then look no more. Visit Lamb's Best Mart for your grocery items, fruits and vegetables, drinks, home items, stationery, gift items, hampers, shopping gift cards, toiletries, small hardware items, and much more. We provide order and pickup service, even delivery to your door. We are your friendly community supermarket. Check us out today at Lamb's Best Mart, located at 22 Daniel Trace Canby, or visit us on social media at Lamb's Best Mart.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning, morning. Good
1
morning.
a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. We continue the conversation this morning with Minority Leader Kelvon Morris, and we have just touched on the area of education in terms of the first focus. The second thing we want to touch on, quite recently, we would have seen a post that would have been put out on social media by you, a little back and forth between yourself and the Chief Secretary in terms of concerns with regards to what might be branded very broadly as restructuring of jobs and the issuing of new contracts. We want to get a sense from you on that. What's your take at this point based on what has transpired?
Well, it's quite unfortunate, and we would have gotten the warning from the political leader of the PDP that there would be no justice for those persons with carrying big red flags. And of course, the policy is being played out, plain and simple. And of course, you heard the Chief Secretary is on record as labeling some of these people political hires. And it's quite unfortunate that we, in a small island like this, persons could be considered for job opportunities based on their color, whether red or green or black. And we are saying we believe that Tobago needs to transcend that kind of petty politics, because if the island is to develop, we require all the human capacity that is available and the best of it to really transform this island. And that was something that was put out to the Tobago public as well. So going forward, we're recognizing that any unit that they believe has persons of inclination of PNM are those units you are seeing being targeted. And it's quite unfortunate at this time. As a minority, we have retained the legal counsel and legal assistance to treat with these issues, because what is even more concerning is that these persons are being given, in some instances, only 30-day notice without any kind of compensation, and these are persons who would have served in some situations for over 10, 12, 13 years continuous, and they are being dismissed without not even a compensation, a severance package, or anything, which goes against the grain of proper industrial relation practices. And this is why we would be giving them support to ensure that justice is done. And what I must say, this Tobagonians should be concerned, because at the end of the day, when the judgment is passed, it would be in the vicinity of millions over a period. And it is our tax-paying money and funds that could have been used for other development that would now be expended in this kind of way for this political victimization.
How do you then respond to the concern that persons would have raised that in the time period of the Honorable Key Christopher Rowley, that no different was done with the changeover, and in fact it was on a greater level where persons indicated an entire Ministry of Tobago Development was disbanded, which had been introduced in the time of the People's Partnership. I think it was then under Minister Baker. And then when we saw the change in governance again, not just a section or a unit, but the entire ministry was disbanded and the arrangements reverted. How do you make that comparison?
So we have to take it into context, because the Ministry of Tobago Development was a parallel ministry set up to counteract and undermine the Tobago House of Assembly. And from very early, the PNM administration would have signaled that once that they were victorious at the polls, they would revert to the usual occurrence where you have the office of the Prime Minister operating. So persons who were public servants weren't affected. Persons who had their contracts in the office of the Prime Minister kind of arrangement were not affected. It was the persons who would have been, once the ministry itself was shut down, there were a number of short-term arrangements in that system that was waiting on the Trinidad version of our MSU to approve and was never approved, that would have been affected. So it is completely different. What we are talking about is units that are part of the organizational structure of the THA, approved persons who would have gone through their interview processes, would have been successful at their interview, functioned in their positions, and have just been targeted and told that you're no longer needed. And in fact, some of the wording of the letters are so malicious, in that in one breath you're telling them we are reviewing, and in the same breath you're saying I'm firing. And it is really concerning, and I think Tobagonians should be concerned, because at the end of the day we are in a pandemic. We have schools reopened, and persons, in some instances, families, both husband and wife, they are home without any way to provide for their families. And I don't think that any right-thinking Tobagonian would be comfortable with such a situation.
So you're not in support of the concept of where they are suggesting that is restructuring that's happening. You're saying that you believe it's an outright target.
So there's a difference between restructuring and with shutting down, closing something. Restructuring means you're looking at how you can expand, you can reduce, that kind of thing. And remember, the Tobago House of Assembly is a body corporate, so you can redeploy. If you have, and this is to tell you why it's about political spite and victimization. There's no rationalization where you're assessing the pool of talents you have, seeing where in the THA we can utilize or redeploy these talents, but it's simply a case of identifying these people as PNM hires, and we are going to do PDP fires.
All right. One of the other areas that we want to move along to is we would have had the recent plenary sitting, not the most recent, where you would have put forward questions, and we saw very unusual in the Tobago space. You would have put forward a question seeking to have an idea in terms of salaries, etc., names, etc., in terms of persons. We want to get the basis behind such, particularly because of the response that came where Tobago felt that it was a case of all my business outside and exposed in relation to what my income is, whether my income up there, whether my income insufficient, whether my income midway. Give us your response on that. What was the objective behind the question?
So, right. So the question, there was a simple error in terms of their questions for oral answers and questions for written. And that would have been one of those questions that should have been really one submitted for written response. However, the asterisk remained. So once you have an asterisk on the question, it means that it's a question for oral answer. And because that error went through as is, and that's why at a certain point I attempted to ask the Chief Secretary to consider abandoning the process, and he indicated that no, he would not abandon the process. He wants to continue. And here it is, what we were able to show is that the THA and show the political spite, wickedness, and bad mind of this administration. So it's not that the THA does not have areas of vacancy, right? Because you saw a number of employment was happening, and in some cases employment without advertisement. Of course, there's positions that are personal to secretaries and so forth, so they can appoint as they please. But then there are other contracted positions that require you advertising and giving all of Tobago an opportunity to apply. And in some situation, you heard the chief secretaries admitting that they would have just simply hired the persons. And what this showed is that the persons who were fired, they were fired not because the division didn't require them, but they were fired because they were believed to be PNM, and you had hirings occurring at the same time and occurring in a way that does not go to that goes contrary to what is normal HR practices of the Tobago House of Assembly, where you would go to MSU, in some cases create the positions, because look at the division of infrastructure. We have a situation where a secretary would have hired a procurement manager. That is contrary to what occurs as of this time. Usually the chief administrator is responsible for recruiting all procurement supervisors, because you would remember we now have the procurement law, which is partially proclaimed, and the THA was well advanced and complemented for the steps that we would have taken in separating, you know, the checks and balances between the politician and the administration in terms of procurement of goods and services. Because when you have a secretary who has their preferred procurement manager, that leaves room for all kind of
and
issues.
You're saying for a fact that this is what is taking place at the Division of Infrastructure?
For a fact, because the position is now a short-term position. So, and you know, the only person that can approve short-term positions is the secretary in consultation with the administrator. And you really bring on short-term in a situation where you don't have, where you have an immediate need or a project that has a lifespan that is very short, and you would bring on the short-term. But in this situation, here you had a secretary and a division bypassing the normal process, which is to utilize the channel of the chief administrator to hire the procurement person. Because when the way how it is structured, there's a central procurement office, and that central procurement office has a coordinator, and so that person manages all the procurement information of the Tobago House of Assembly, and that was bypassed.
Tell us very quickly, because we're also almost out of time. Your second question led to some inquiries also in the House in relation to the residence of the Chief Secretary. Again, the response came in such a manner to put your very own former colleague, former Chief Secretary Dennis, in a particular position based on the photos and so being put out. In hindsight, are those some of the things you all would want to probably phrase differently in terms of how you pose some of the questions based on the responses that were received?
I think what we have to understand is that when you pose a question, it's 21 days. So you might have a matter that is current at the time, and then because it also allows the division to do research and the responding secretary to do the necessary research, and they can play the politics as well. But the reality, you would have seen Mr. Dennis clear that up, and in fact some of the photos, some of it in some situations were very old photos before the repairs started and that kind of thing. And we know the area as well. There will be issues of wear and tear and that kind of thing, but I think Mr. Dennis did a good job of refuting.
Well, he attempted to clear it, but when the former Chief Secretary Charles responded to also confirm that he did leave the place in a good manner. So when you had the former chief responding that he left it in a good manner, the incoming chief responding that he met it in a particular manner, one would look at the chief in between.
Well, the point is as well, the responsibility of the maintenance of the building is not one for the Chief Secretary, but one for there's a building management unit in the division that is really responsible for that kind of work.
And the final area we want to touch on, yesterday we would have had the internal PNM elections. Major decision, the media was not involved in any direct or extensive way as has happened in the past. Tell us about your feeling in terms of what the outcome is now. We also noted that there was only one contender for the position of leadership, and you also took a position that you would not offer yourself for any of the positions. How do you then make that appropriate connection now so as to avoid what we have seen as a challenge in terms of a separation between the direction and movement of the person sitting in the assembly, which is now yourself as minority leader, versus the direction and movement of the political leader? In the case of the political leader in Trinidad, the Prime Minister, who does he speak to? Does he speak to the political leader of the Tobago Council, or does he speak to the minority leader in the Tobago House of Assembly? How do you see this working going forward?
Well, let me firstly congratulate all 17 officers of the People's National Movement Tobago Council Executive. I look forward with great anticipation and excitement with working alongside each of them. We have a very interesting balance between youth and experience. We have a collaboration between the East and the West in terms of the location of some of these officers. And I think really and truly the leader, we have already developed a very cordial relationship. We meet regularly, and it is all about communication, respect of each other's responsibility. And in terms of the Prime Minister, we all will have the kind of synergy to ensure that going forward we can provide Tobago with alternative options that are credible going forward.
All right. Thank you very much there again, viewers. And we've heard from the minority leader, Kelvon Morris, and certainly we will be chatting with him in time to come as the developments continue to move forward. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Viewers, at this point, we head on in to our next segment, This Day in Tobago History, with Devon Adana.
This Day in Tobago History. Did you know that on April 25th, 2014, the World Music Night of the Tobago Jazz Experience boasted some of the world's biggest stars? According to tha.gov.tt, 8 years ago today, tickets were already sold out with a possible crowd in excess of 8,000 expected to swarm Pigeon Point to see the megastar lineup for the World Music Night. The event coordinator at the time, Mr. John Arnold, at the then Division of Tourism and Transportation, warned in the weeks leading up to the event that when the extra 2,500 tickets made available after the initial tickets sold out, no more would be printed because there simply was no more space available. The Tobago Jazz Experience took place from April 16th, 29 in that year, with almost 40,000 people gracing Tobago shores during that period. There were 3 paid nights of events at the Pigeon Point Heritage Park, which were World Music Night, Utopia, and Beach Jazz Fiesta on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of April, respectively. A shuttle service with 40 buses was provided to take ticket holders from the secured parking at Store Bay into the event. World Music Night, which took place Friday, 25th April, was the main night, eventually seeing record crowds in excess of 10,000 coming out to see the Grammy Award-winning headliners John Legend and Brandy Norwood. The show opened with local favorite Dilly Nadan. Brandy took to the stage at 9 p.m. to deliver songs such as What About Us, Top of the World, and Have You Ever, in a 45-minute set that also included hits from some of Brandy's idol, Whitney Houston. Brandy was followed by the main attraction, John Legend, who gave an hour-long performance, which many in the audience lapped up and sang along to. Legend belted out favorites such as Stay With You, Ordinary People, his current hit at the time, All of Me, and Green Light. Legend shared that it was his first time performing in Tobago and delighted to showcase his music since appearing in Trinidad in 2006. One item, though, did not go as planned, was One item that did not go as planned was the apparent no-show of Bunji Garlin, Fayan, and the Asylum Vikings. The band was carded to end the show, but an accommodation mix-up seemed to be the blame as the band made their way back to Trinidad before their scheduled performance, leaving an opening for Neil Iwer George to end the show. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. My name is Devon Adana. There's lots more after the break, so be sure to join us and share the live.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
And welcome back. It's 7:51 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, we are chatting with Xavier Edwards, president of the Tobago Writers Guild. Yes, you may know him in the entertainment industry, you may know him in other aspects. But this morning, he's here in his capacity as president of the Tobago Writers Guild as we speak about World Book and Copyright Day 2022 and the week of activities. Morning.
Yes, blessed rising to everybody tuned in.
All right, and we're indeed happy to have you on as we get straight on into the discussions this morning. World Book and Copyright Day 2022. Tell us about the significance of the day.
Well, World Book and Copyright Day was launched in 1995 by UNESCO. And part of the reason being it was the anniversary of the death of William Shakespeare. And a bunch of other notable writers were either born or transitioned on that day. And it's just a day to place emphasis not only on the writing process, the creative process, but also the importance of the intellectual property aspect, which is, how you monetize and, economically grow through your work. And it's been celebrated since then. And this year, Tobago Writers Guild is partnering with the Tobago Library Services to do a week of activities, educating people about those aspects of the writing process, those copyright aspects which are extremely important.
Right. So as we head on in, give us a sense. So Saturday, the 23rd of April, Saturday that would have just passed, would have been the World Book and Copyright Day 2022. And the week of activities run from, just walk us through from today.
From today at 5 p.m., the Intellectual Property Office of Trinidad and Tobago is hosting a conversation on copyright. So that will actually be streamed live via Zoom. If you want to register, you have to register. Just go to Tobago Writers Guild page or the Intellectual Property Right Organization page. After which tomorrow, the Tobago Library Services will have a conversation on ISBNs, which are International Standard Book Number, which is kind of like your signature that says an and acknowledges that you are the writer of this book, it's recognizable across fields. Kind of like how ISRCs are for music. It's that code, that unique identifier. So they're going to have a conversation on the importance of ISBNs, after which on Wednesday, Tobago Writers Guild is going to have a conversation on the importance of publishing and the publishing process, like the actual step-by-step process to go from a thought or a vision or an idea to scripting it to now actually publishing it in a way that, you know, it's easily received both digital and physically, and it could be economically valuable, and to tell our stories most of all, because it's important to get our stories told the way we would tell them. And the last 2 days, which is Thursday and Friday, we're going to have conversations with actual published authors on their journey, because, you know, there's the technical part and then there's how it actually went. So you get a real, genuine scope of the process to register and go through the publishing process in Trinidad and Tobago, and, you know, hopefully save potential authors and writers from some of the challenges that they would have had when they went through the process.
How important and critical is this? And I want to touch on, you know, your other side in the entertainment industry a bit. Being involved in the Tobago Writers Guild, and it means quite naturally you may have that kind of passion for writing. How does that help in terms of meshing with that other side that we know in terms of, you know, Xavier Edwards?
Well, the music and the writing is like, to me, the music is just it's poetry with a melody. So it's easy to connect to the writers. And simultaneously, my journey, you know, through music and learning those technical and business aspects and how important they are to make your love, your passions economically viable, and not to have your work stolen or to have others, you know, profit at your disadvantage from your works, is very, very important to understand both the creative side and the business side. So in music and authorship, it's pretty much the same.
Right. We grew up learning with our parents telling us, you know, you must be able to read and write. And you must be able to know to count your money in terms of basic figures. Tell us particularly, what is the mandate of the Tobago Writers Guild?
Tobago Writers Guild, always from the jump of the founders, was focused with the development of the literary arts in Tobago. We've been unofficially active since 2006 and formally operating since 2010. And, you know, since that time, we've done work with the Tobago Library Services, hosted writing competitions, we've done seminars on, you know, publishing, writing workshops. And that's our mandate. Our mandate is to develop the literary arts in Tobago, but that doesn't solely deal with, I guess, authors who write like novels, or it deals with artists like myself, you know, it deals with children authors. We just had a member of First Mic, or Children's Open Mic, publish a book, you know, at 6 years old. You know?
So it speaks to a wider scope, and that's very important because people might misunderstand it to think it's exclusive to authors, somebody who writes books only.
No, you know, we had the Next Chapter Open Mic, which was for spoken word artists. And that took a pause in the COVID season. We're actually working on bringing that back. First Mic is actually back right now, virtually. We're working on transitioning back to physical First Mic. You know, that's important.
So for those who have, you know, are hearing about in terms of the Tobago Writers Guild, I want you also to touch on how do they get in contact based on, you know, they're now hearing about the wider scope of activities involved. How do they get in contact with you all? For those particularly who may have an interest in getting involved.
Tobago Writers Guild is very accessible. You could reach us on Facebook at Tobago Writers Guild, just search that. And you could also reach us via my direct line. I could give it out, 487-9722. And yeah, let's continue the journey to building a more literate, more published Tobago.
Right, and therefore, just to remind our viewers again, we've got the week of activities taking place, and where can they access all this information?
So for tonight's, this evening's discussion from the Intellectual Property Office, you could go to our page. The Zoom link to register is there. For every other evening, every other discussion, it will be available both via our Facebook page and our YouTube page. You could just search Tobago Writers Guild and it will stay up. So for all the discussions that we're collaborating with Tobago Library Services with, you don't have to tune in immediately. You could always go back and revisit the material via our YouTube page or our Facebook page.
Excellent. Thank you very much again, Xavier Edwards. You know, in another capacity, I asked you to sing and give you something. But all right, we will take that for the next time. Just to remind our viewers again, it's the Tobago Writers Guild, and there is the World Book and Copyright Day 2022, and the week of activities starts today and continue for the entire week up to Friday. A reminder, you can reach out to them via phone at 487-9722, and you can also connect with them on Facebook at Tobago Writers Guild. Feel free to check out the page in terms of making that connection for more information. All right, so we want to thank each and every one of you for the continued love and support, and we want to remind you again today, feel free to tune in from 2 p.m. today in terms of the funeral service takes place for the mother of Rear Richardson George. All right, and we continue to lend our support and our love and our prayers go out to Rear Richardson George and the entire family. It will be live here on Tobago Updates. We also want to give some shout outs to those persons joining us this morning, joining us via TV. We have and following us online, those of you on TobagoUpdates.com. We're also on Smash Radio, and in this week going live, we will be connecting with 91.9 FM. We're on Guile, the channel M&E TV. Folks, we are making every effort to ensure that you have every possible option to stay connected with Tobago Updates, and we want to thank you so much for that continued love and support. Cindy Stewart Lewis, Keith Paul, Alvin Big Doggy Douglas in the mix this morning. By no lesser, our very own Suzette James Stewart, and she's sending out morning. Xavier and Juliet, all right, in the mix. And we want to thank Caristia Douglas, Leslie Walcott, Cleveland Edwards, Osprey Trotman, all right, each and every one of you out there, Lisa James, each and every one of you out there, we want to say thank you so much for the continued love and support to all the viewers out there, those on radio, those on TV, and those joining us online. This has been the Tobago Updates morning show. Coming up next, we have a Good Morning Tobago with Candice and Denicia, so we want you to stay tuned for GMT. And as my very good colleague, my host would say, my very good friend, Rear Richardson George, let's remember, folks, that we continue to have the responsibility, even if things are much more relaxed now. Let's remember to wear our masks, wash those hands, soap and water. We're going back to basics, all right? Then, of course, we utilize hand sanitizer. And then we want to remind you again, ensure that you continue to maintain your social distance. Have a great week. It's Monday. It's the start of the week. Let's have a great and productive week. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
I don't want to pick your brains. I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
And we party till we drop down there with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago. It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Are you looking for that all-in-one shopping experience? Then look no more. Visit Lamb's Best Mart for your grocery items, fruits and vegetables, drinks, home items, stationery, gift items, hampers, shopping gift cards, toiletries, small hardware items, and much more. We provide order and pickup service, even delivery to your door. We are your friendly community supermarket. Check us out today at Lamb's Best Mart, located at 22 Daniel Trace Canby, or visit us on social media at Lamb's Best Mart.
Rest easy at American Stores. Up to 20% off. Outstanding discounts on selected Serta, Sealy, and Therapeutic mattress brands. Check us out today at American Stores, where we make quality living affordable.
Hello, Crime Stoppers?
This is Crime Stoppers. Please share only your crime information.
I want to report a crime, but I need to make sure it will not be traced back to me.
Caller, I assure you, there's no record of this call other than the information you give us and the tip number I assign you for you to call back and check on your reward. This system has worked in 26 countries for more than 40 years.
Help stop crime. Call Crime Stoppers at 800-TIPS today. Calls are safe and 100% anonymous.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Good morning, put a smile on your...
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards to our
Welcome
top
to the Big
story.
Update Sports. I'm your boy Marcus Daniel. Thank you.
Trinidad and looms as
remains when
the public is
nobody lives here. Oil and gas exploration continues to affect the livelihood.
Spearsides Marine Industry. Tobago fishermen
When will the
Sion
Roxborough Hospital be fully functional?
of the 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. window
Still find
at the islands
treasures like the Golden
continue to
Waterfall.
rise in Tobago.
I want to meet with you to share my personal testimony and other local testimonies. Call me now, Juliet Roberts, at 341-0715. The number again is 341-0715. God bless you.
Let's go! Safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero. Champion. Fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we strong.
Answer Dennis is the new political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM.
Former Assemblyman Shamari Hector injured in accident.
Scarborough RC Primary School students return to classes today.
And nationally, Minister of National Security denies illegal use of spy equipment.
All right, welcome to Good Morning Tobago. I am Candace Jackson.
And I am Denise Demsa. It is Monday, 25th April 2022. Let's dive into our top story.
Answer Dennis is now the political leader of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement. The party held its internal elections yesterday away from the glare of the media. Dennis contested the position of political leader unopposed. Elected to the post of chairman was Larry Paul. He won over fellow candidate Huey Cadet. Meanwhile, Charles Adams won the post of vice chairman over Steve Waldron and Nicole Henry. Most of the 17 positions were contested unopposed. There are reports of a low voter turnout, however, that is yet to be confirmed by the Elections Committee. Now that Dennis has been officially elected as political leader, his immediate focus is on the rebuilding of the party. The PNM suffered a humiliating 14-1 defeat in December's THA elections. It ended the PNM's 20-year reign on the THA. Dennis wants to see the rebuilt PNM be an all-inclusive party that speaks for all Tobagonians.
Meanwhile, former Assemblyman Shamari Hector was seriously injured in an early morning accident on Sunday. According to police reports, the accident took place along the Milford Road in Bonaccord in the vicinity of the St. Francis Anglican Church at around 6 a.m. Hector was traveling north when his car reportedly ran off the road and hit a concrete wall. First responders were immediately called to the scene, but Hector was trapped in the vehicle. Firefighters used their jaws of life to free him. Hector is said to have sustained severe leg and chest injuries and had to be stabilized before being rushed to the Scarborough General Hospital via ambulance. Reports are that he is now resting in a stable condition. Hector served as an assemblyman for the Bethel Mount Irving electoral district under the previous THA administration. Despite his hospitalization, Hector was elected as public relations officer at the Tobago Council of the PNM's internal elections yesterday.
In some positive news, this morning students are returning to physical classes at the Scarborough RC Primary School. Although all of Tobago's students returned in full to physical classes on Wednesday, Scarborough RC Primary was unable to facilitate their return because their school needed additional maintenance work. These works could not be completed while students and teachers were on the compound. However, the Division of Education, Research and Technology reported last night that repairs were completed and students can safely return to classes. The lingering repair works caused some criticism from the Minority Council, who said it was unacceptable that Scarborough RC Primary School students were not able to begin their classes with the rest of Tobago on Wednesday. However, contractors from the Project Implementation Unit informed the division that they encountered unforeseen problems that pushed back their timeline. They gave the commitment that all repairs will be complete in time for school to return today, and that commitment was kept. Secretary Zorisha Hackett thanked the workers for being able to complete the works in time for school today. Meanwhile, the Pentecostal Light and Life Foundation High School has also opened its doors after it too was unable to open on Wednesday.
Termination of contract workers within the THA is unacceptable. According to Minority Council Petal Daniel Benoit, speaking at the Minority Council's press conference, Daniel Benoit accused the PDP-led THA of disbanding units and terminating contracts of many workers because they were said to be political hires.
I am not sure what is the definition by this administration of political hires, but they were deemed political hires and therefore were unceremoniously sent home.
Other contract workers who have expired contracts but have been working with the THA for long periods of time are being told their contracts will not be renewed. According to the minority councillor, additionally, she accused the THA of doing the same to long-time service providers.
Service providers are being told that their services are no longer needed. And we have a case or an issue where in some instances, various village councils are in uproar and is seeking legal action because of the way in which their services were terminated.
Daniel Benoit reminded the PDP-led administration they promised Tobago that they will govern in the best interests of all people without malice, yet they are not keeping their word.
This cannot be right, and this minority will hold the present administration accountable for their actions. And again, things must be done with due process and in keeping with good industrial relations practice.
The Minority Council is now preparing a legal team to defend contract workers and service providers who have been unfairly terminated.
A fishing vessel is believed to have been stolen from Lambo Beach. The vessel, owned by Gavin Ramkisoon, was anchored in the bay as per usual on Friday afternoon. However, when Ramkisoon and his fishermen went to the beach around 6:30 on Saturday morning, the vessel was nowhere to be found. They searched the area and inquired among fellow fishermen in the area, but to no avail. Reports were then made to the police and the Coast Guard. Up to press time, there was not any sign of the vessel. The missing vessel is white with its name Fishers of Men 3 painted in red. It is licensed TFT 1880. Anyone with information regarding the vessel's whereabouts is asked to contact Ramkisoon at 472-6368, 349-2232 or 791-1469.
Indiscriminate parking and washing cars on the roadway is a chargeable offense. Assistant Commissioner of Police William Nurse says the public needs to get familiar with the laws because ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine encouraged the police to take drastic measures against those disrupting the free flow of traffic. Here is more from last week's TTPS stakeholder meeting in Bell Garden.
One resident in Bell Garden is frustrated with neighbors parking indiscriminately in front of his property on a narrow road. Assistant Commissioner of Police William Nurse warns such actions are a chargeable offense.
When vehicles are parked on the road and they are obstructing, there is an offense called unnecessary obstruction.
While promising to take action against the unscrupulous vehicle owners, ACP Nurse used the opportunity to point out a few other common practices that are in fact illegal.
When a vehicle is broken down and left on the road unattended, that in itself is an offense. To wash your motor vehicle on the street, all you know that is an offense? To convert the street into your mechanic garage is also an offense.
Furthermore, he suggested that the THA assist with creating more space for vehicles on the roads.
We can also petition the Tobago House of Assembly to do a lay-by if they have the funds. You know, money is tight these days. And not only the funds, where the land space affords.
However, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine explained he recently received a message from the Prime Minister stating such interventions were not working.
And the message came from the Prime Minister complaining bitterly about the fact that the THA had just completed a road, did a retaining wall, widened the road, and people just park on that side and still forcing the cars to drive on the side closer to the precipice.
Augustine encouraged the police to take drastic measures against such people. He also explained that under the public health legislation, the THA can exercise power in the case of derelict vehicles.
Legally the THA can take these vehicles up. It will cost something. And I know the owners will not want to pay the THA for the cost of removing them, which they will have to. So if they don't pay for it, we'll eventually sell it and make some money and maybe put it back into the community.
For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
A stench is emanating from the Study Park landfill. Residents who live nearby are inundated with the smell and are complaining of health risk and discomfort. However, the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection assured residents that urgent action is currently being taken to treat with the stench. Secretary Dr. Faith B. Israel also apologized to the residents for the inconvenience they are facing. She said residents should experience relief by Wednesday, 27th April. If residents are still inundated with the smell, or after Wednesday, Dr. B. Israel is advising that they either call the public health hotline at 639-1433 or reach out to her directly at 494-8827.
Find out more about the Ministry of National Security's reaction to spy equipment allegations when we return after the break.
Are you looking for that all-in-one shopping experience? Then look no more. Visit Lamb's Best Mart for your grocery items, fruits and vegetables, drinks, home items, stationery, gift items, hampers, shopping gift cards, toiletries, small hardware items, and much more. We provide order and pickup service, even delivery to your door. We are your friendly community supermarket. Check us out today at Lamb's Best Mart, located at 22 Daniel Trace Canby, or visit us on social media at Lamb's Best Mart. Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off. Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Turning now to some national news. There is no evidence of unauthorized spying on the public. This is a word coming from both the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, and Acting Commissioner of Police, McDonald Jacobs, at a press conference yesterday. This follows allegations from the opposition leader that government was in possession of an Israeli developed Pegasus spy equipment. While government denied being in possession of Pegasus, they admitted to being in possession of spy equipment. However, it has not yet been used.
I have knowledge that it has never been used by the police, because had it been used, we would have been able to monitor, to audit that elsewhere.
So during the period up to the 10th of September, when the police had the backpack in their possession, there were no indicators of anything hitting on the server. And it is obvious. I mentioned that training had to take place in order for this software to be utilized.
Hines says the allegations by the opposition leader are reckless and undermines the integrity of the police.
We say we have a clear policy on these matters. It is the SSA. They are very clear. They must operate within the confines of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. And as far as I'm aware, that has been happening.
The opposition leader accused the government of using Pegasus to spy on members of the judiciary, journalists, and political opponents. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Friday in Parliament denied the country was in possession of Pegasus.
Let us look now at what we can expect in the weather for today. We can expect a variably cloudy day with occasional showers or periods of mostly light rain in some locations. There is a forecasted temperature high of 30 degrees Celsius during the day and getting down to 24 degrees Celsius at night. Seas are slight to moderate conditions with waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters and near calm in sheltered areas.
Let's recap the headlines. Anson Dennis is the new political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM.
Former Assemblyman Shamari Hector injured in accident.
Scarborough RC primary school students returned to classes today.
And nationally, Minister of National Security denies illegal use of spy equipment.
That's it for your morning news. Join us again tonight at 7:30 for more news. All right, Denise here. So we had a very exciting weekend. I mean, we finally had the PNM centennial elections yesterday. It was a very quiet affair, very much unlike what we've grown accustomed to in the past.
I think they are more focused on trying to rebuild the trust of Tobagonians that was lost over the last election. You know, there were so many things that led up to the last election. And I think right now they are currently trying to work on rebuilding that trust and trying to see how they can not just rebuild the trust, but rebuild a party, you know? So they aren't really, you know, the usual noise that you would hear. I didn't hear anything yesterday at all.
No, it was very quiet. And of course, that was by design, because from the time that the internal elections were announced, they were very clear that they did not want anything public. Everything had to be behind closed doors. I mean, the nomination process, everything was behind closed doors, and we saw that only one person in the form of Ansel Dennis came forth and put his name for the leadership of the party. And of course, we have now Larry Paul as the chairman of the party. And if you look at the executive, like all the lists of the persons, it's a completely new slate of people. So as if the party is saying, all right, well, we've listened to Tobago in a sense that what we had before was not working anymore. So maybe we need to change up everything on the executive and see how we could push the party forward.
And if you realize, most of the persons that have been elected yesterday, they are somewhat young, you know, in the younger generation. So I am particularly excited to see this new rollout of the persons who were elected and how they're going to go moving forward. I mean, like I said, it's something totally different to what we are accustomed to, the persons we were accustomed to for over 20 years.
Yes,
you know?
completely new faces.
I mean, the only new face that the only old face that we have there is Mr. Dennis. But he's somewhat a little bit more young and energetic as well. So I'm particularly interested to see what is going to happen moving forward and how the party is going to go about navigating and really trying to rebuild the trust of Tobagonians and really trying to make a difference than the old things that we were accustomed to.
Yes, certainly. It's interesting times. But now moving on to our discussion for this morning. And of course, we're going to be talking, viewers, about Global Financial Week.
Yes, we're going to be talking about financial literacy this month, and we're going to be having a conversation with Miss Alana, and she's going to share some information. She has a very in-depth knowledge about financial intelligence and accountability, responsibility. She's going to be giving us some information about, you know, what we could do better in this economic and hard times, and how we could go about being able to be, like I said, financially responsible. And that may sound very hard to some people, where, you know, persons may feel, well, oh gosh, I'm not really making much, so how can I really be financially responsible with the little income that I have, and I have so many things to do with that money. But stay with us, we'll be right back after the break.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supply specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hail my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. It is 8:35 on this marvelous Monday. And in continuing with our conversations with Financial Literacy Month, we are with Miss Alana Allen, and she was a panelist with Chief yesterday. Now, Miss Allen wears many hats. She's the financial coach. She's also a financial education instructor. Good morning and welcome to Tobago Updates.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you for having me here today.
So, let's get into things. The word financial or the word finances sometimes is very sensitive for some persons. Now, with us being in a trying economic time, what is the importance or what is necessary or how necessary is being able to be financially secured, accountable, and responsible?
Well, as you can see, the last 2 years has been very, very traumatizing for a lot of us, having gone through this pandemic. And the government would have tried its very best to, issue grants and stuff like that to help people overcome that particular period of time. You ever heard the term, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, but teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime? Now, when we talk about financial literacy and Financial Literacy Month, it is a time where we recognize and advocate for financial literacy. In this case, it is imperative that our population is taught to be financially literate as a means of recovering from COVID-19. A lot of persons would have been affected with their income, with their jobs, all of this. So now we're at the point where we want to reboot the economy and we want to get back on track, and we have to take a unified approach in order to get the economy up to where it needs to be, and that is to teach persons how to make the best use of their money during these troubling times.
So could you give us a little bit of insight of how persons can, use their money wisely in this hard economic times? What can they do?
Well, there are two things we need to focus on, right? You need to focus on how do I make money during this time and how do I manage money during this time. Because living off of one income, that cannot work in 2022. This one source of income cannot work, right? So we have to look at ways in which we can make money. Like I said, if you are gifted in any way, you're looking at getting a side hustle, starting a small business. If it is that you're strapped for cash, what assets or what possessions you have that you can sell. We're all about trying to make money and not just simply depending on the government for a government job or for handouts, because we have high unemployment right now. right? And even if unemployment is high, I'm sure you're not feeling those food prices. I'm sure you're feeling those high gas prices. So the cost of living is going up. And like we like to say in the Tobago, balance with salary now moving, not going nowhere. So we have to look at ways in which to generate more income just to meet our day-to-day expenses and more. But we also need to now look at how do I effectively manage my money? How do I make the best out of what little I have? Right? One of the things we want to really drive home, and the financial educators within this space, is having an emergency fund. Right? A lot of persons would have fared better during the past 2 years if they would have had an emergency fund set up. So that is something now that we're getting back on track with the economy that people should want to place primary focus on in terms of setting up their emergency funds. And they see what you mean. So what is an emergency fund, right? So an emergency fund is, you ever heard about the term,
rainy days?
Yes, your rainy day fund, right? You ever went out, you're going out with your friends on a date and your mother say, have some vex money, in case of anything, have some vex money put aside. So emergency fund is something like that, where you have an account put aside for unexpected expenses, rainy days, anything. If you lose your job, right, you want to at least have 3 to 6 months living expenses put aside to help you deal with that fallout until you transition into generating income again. Right? Look how many people lost their jobs or lost income during the pandemic, and they could not stand on their own feet because they did not have an emergency fund in place. Outside of that, you want to now take a look at your budget and your budgeting. Right? How do I make the best use of my money? You want to prioritize the things that you spend money on and not get distracted. There's a lot of activity going on right now. And, you know, it's so refreshing to see Tobago getting back and, you know, all the parties and the events and stuff like that. But Tobagonians, and for those who are looking on, let us not lose focus of what is important, right? We still have to meet our day-to-day expenses. We still have to send our children to school. We still have to pay the bank at the end of the month for those of us who have loans. So it's all about trying to make the best out of what little you have and advocating during this time for financial literacy to take front seat. It must we must take a front seat role in ensuring that we get citizens to know more about how to manage their money.
Okay, so let's talk about that emergency fund, right? Now, how important is a mindset or one's mindset as it relates to financial literacy? And why I ask the question, because, you know, all that you're saying, it sounds easy, right? But some persons may feel like, oh gosh, my one salary that I get in, and not everybody is business, you know, they have that business savvy mind. And starting a business by itself is also challenging. You know, a lot of people don't talk about the sleepless night, you using your money from your own pocket because the business is not making any money, you know, that sort of thing. So how important is mindset in financial literacy as it relates to, you know, being able to say, okay, I really and truly don't need this. I really and truly strapped this month. I need to be able to cut down my budget.
Well, I think it comes down to what are your priorities? What do you value as being important? Because the things that we place importance on is usually the things, or are usually the things that we would spend money on. And, you know, as a certified financial education instructor and as a coach, one of the first things I work on, I don't even touch, but I look at what's going on up in here. Because a lot of the relationship we have with money and the spending patterns that we have is usually born out of your experiences, your childhood, etc., etc. And once you're at the point where you want to do better with your money, you definitely, it has to be from up here, you have to have your head in the game in order for it to work successfully.
As I said earlier, when I started, I said that you were panelists with a chat with Chief yesterday. So could you tell us what stood out to you most yesterday?
All right, so I'm just going to give a little context about the chat with the Chief Secretary yesterday, and it was held at his residence in Lowlands. And you know what stood out to me was the fact that we had that panel discussion. We had young persons throughout almost every police UCOP, almost every major youth organization was present, and we were all in a place where we can now contribute to how do we use financial literacy as a tool to get Tobago back on track. Now, what stood out to me was the fact that, like I said, the chief held it at his residence, in his household, at his home. And that is the approach that we want to take, to touch every home in Tobago, to teach them the skills of effective money management. And I felt as if he sent a strong message by starting with his household first. That's how I felt about it. But we are also in a place where some of the best persons in the space of financial literacy and entrepreneurship, we were able to sit and have fruitful discussions on financial literacy and how it impacts the youth, and how the THA can now, what can the THA implement in order to get financial literacy not only within our schools, but it went as far as getting it in our communities, getting financial literacy on the block, right? And those were some of the discussions that came out of yesterday's interactions with our Chief Secretary.
All right, so we have a little surprise for you. We just want to play like a little clip, and then we'll come back to our discussion.
Ooh, surprise!
Now, I feel strongly about this thing called intergenerational wealth. And it must be because I inherit poverty. But I feel listen, I feel strongly about intergenerational wealth, you know, because I feel future generations will just have an easier chance if there's intergenerational wealth. If my parents had only made certain decisions, then I'm certain I would have gotten to go to the Oxford I wanted to, as opposed to the UWE I had to. Yeah, even as I was saying, I could have made different life choices as a young person, you know, trying to get my career and life in order. And progress is not so much about how much you attain, you know, but progress is about your child being better than you. Your children have to be better than you. Your children have to go to places you never even dream about, places you see David Attenborough talking about on TV. That's where your children must go, and you must feel proud. I always say to parents and children, you have to make your parents feel so proud. Only the hair on their skin must stand up, they must swell big, big, big. And intergenerational wealth boils down to one thing: planning. Planning and how you listen. We are poor at planning, and we heard some hints of it earlier. And at the division, we have to spend some time teaching people how to plan. Because there are many Tobagonians who may not have large bank accounts, but who still have significant assets. How can you allow yourself to pass away? Well, you don't know when you're going to die. But how can you get to the place where you pass away and you have nothing in place? No will, no kind of benefactor, none of your accounts, nothing at all. Your children are running up and down, finding a lawyer. By the time they're done, the legal fees outweigh the amount of money is in the account. It costs them so much to move the land from some deceased foreparent name to bring it to your name. You know, even in your parents' name, it's still in some great somebody name. Planning will treat to that, and the division, we might have to spend some time teaching people how to do that.
All right there, folks, we had a very passionate conversation there with the Chief Secretary. And when he was speaking, I don't know, what he was saying resonated within my soul, because I look at myself as an individual who is now 25 years of age, and I'm saying, had I known about certain things, or yes, I was always financially responsible, but as you get older, things become a bit more serious and real for you, because, you know, looking at planting roots, you know, looking at, you know, being able to have a family, you want to own a house one day, and sometimes thinking about that seems just an imagination for me, because housing myself is very expensive.
Well, let me say this, adulting is hard, eh? And when you move into adulthood, let's forget the university phase. When you really get into adulthood and you start working and you realize all the different things that you have to manage and you needing money to do that, it comes like a shock to a lot of persons. And that is why it's important for us to have financial literacy in the school, not just being taught academically, but exposing our citizens to the practical elements of it in terms of how do you manage your budget and stuff like that. So when you reach your age, you are in a better position, you're poised to make better financial decisions. Now, the Chief Secretary said something very important there. Building generational wealth, right? Financial literacy is about teaching you how to create wealth, how to grow your wealth, how to protect your wealth, and of course, guys, how to transfer your wealth. So that is very important. How do we pass on wealth from one generation to the next? And some people might be wondering, when I am not to them training, but here's what, you can start today. Because one of the best gifts that you can give your child when it comes to money is to actually teach them about money. I was having a conversation a few days ago, in fact, and why is it important to teach your children about money? It's great to build wealth and to transfer it to your children, only to be rolling in your grave because your children mess up all the 20 or 40 years. So you have to not just transfer the assets, but transfer the schooling, right? We normally say that rich people are rich because they teach their children about money, right? They're able to hold on. When you look at a lot of persons who have wealth, who are wealthy, one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, and they build upon it every generation, every successive generation. And that's what we want, especially as black people, right? I feel as if generational poverty is what we would have been cursed with, and it's time for us to change that narrative, to change it. We want to build wealth, and I think that it's important from now for us to take the steps that are necessary to ensure that Tobagonians are millionaires. I want a millionaire, several millionaires in every village. That's what I envision for Tobago.
There you have it, folks, from our very own Miss Alana Allen, and she shared some really, really interesting information about financial literacy and why it is so important and necessary, especially for the economic times that we are facing now. I mean, I take in everything that she said because, like I said, I'm 25 years old and I want great things for myself. I believe I deserve it. You understand? So thank you again, Miss Alling. It was really, really nice having your presence here this morning.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Tobago, for having me. And remember, it is Financial Literacy Month, so grab a book, get on my page, do something to enhance your financial skills, right? And there are lots of, right now, for those of you who are interested, check out the Division of Finances page on Facebook, or even call the division. They have an excellent financial fitness program that is free of charge. They have a small business starter program that is free of charge. So get on board, right? Part of this whole situation of financial literacy, you have to take action. Right? You have to take action, and we are putting things in place. I'm seeing things being put in place for Tobagonians to take action and to get the knowledge that is needed to help master their finances.
Well, you know, as they say, that is it, and that is all. Thank you so much for being with us. As I always say, stay safe, keep smiling. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates.